Hi guys, welcome back to Mud Rats Hunting and Outdoors. Well, the stabiliser compound's cured, the alloy pillars have cured and set. So we've prepped the stock in preparation for the for doing the bedding. Now what you'll notice, I've got a nice big dam up the front here. This is where I want my bedding to finish. So all this area in here is going to be filled with bedding compound all the way back to the tang. And anything further forward of here will just run down into the barrel channel, which is not a problem. You know, we shouldn't get too much in there, but now the main thing is, guys, you want to make sure you give this a good clean, make sure there's no grease and that sort of thing. And you'll take particular notice in this area just here. You want to make sure when you drop the barrel action into the stock that you have no pinch points around that area, because when you break it out of the stock, you don't want to break out that section. It's only a small section that's going to be bedded, and you don't want to break that out of when you break the barrel out of the action, so the action out of the stock. Anyway, so we've filled up our plasticine dams. They've also got one right down the front here to give the barrel a bit of support, like I was saying before, just to so there's not putting out any extra stress on the bedding while it's curing. But that's the stock. Now, what you're going to do to prep the stock, to prep the barrel action for ready to go into the stock, you're going to get the Kiwi boots good polish that comes with the kit. Now you can either get a bit of cloth like this. I got some quite fluffy cloth, or a bit of sponge, you know, a bit of car washing sponge, and you just want to speckle that patina all the way on. I've gone ahead again on top of that and put some talcum powder over this one, so it's completely covered in talcum powder just to make it really smooth, so that it comes out of that. Make sure that 100% sure that comes out of that stock when I go to take the action out. Also, you notice I've made some headless screws, and I've covered those in tape enough so that they just fit snugly inside the alloy pillars as I go to push this down into the stock. Now, one other thing, I'll do this while I'll show you guys what we're going to do here. Basically, what you want to do in preparation to make it easier to guide yourself is, first of all, you want to get yourself just get yourself a straw. Okay, so I've just been and got a straw, and then what we basically want to do with that straw is, if we're going to get it out of the hole. Okay, so you're going to take your again, just using my MTM box here. Just see if I can get a bit more of a better view. And so basically, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using some of this straw, and I'll show you as I go along. You're going to be cutting a couple of lengths of it, basically to act as a guide to fit down inside of your action holes. So we're just going to cut a piece of that. Now you'll find too, guys, that you'll have to turn and wrap these in a bit of tape as well. And the reason for that is, you know, they just want to fall through. So, but the reason why you want to make these up is so that when you pour the stabilizer in, which you'll see in a moment when we get to that process, you want to have something there as a guide, and so that you don't have compound leaching down into your action screws, the screw holes, because you know, if you get compound down in there, you're in for a whole world of trouble. You're definitely going to you know, effectively glue your action into your stock, and you definitely don't want that. So what we're going to do here is just make these guides And then I'll fit these in, and then I'll show you what I've done. Okay. I'll just make up the other one, and I'll show you what we've done here and how we go about it. So yeah, just take a couple of bits of straw and just cut them, you know, to a reasonable length. I've cut them probably about maybe 2.5 inches long, you know. And then just like I say, just wrap your tape around it. Again, guys, like I said, this is just a guide for when you go to push the action through. Okay, now basically this is what we're left with. As you can see the straw is sticking up quite a bit at both the tang area, and like I said, this will give you a bit of a guide on where you need to place your threaded bolts. I'm just going to add a little bit more tape around the tang area, and then we'll mix up the compound, and we'll get into it. This is really a simple task, guys. It's not a hard task at all. You just have to be mindful on what you're doing the whole time. You know, make sure you're really concentrating, and especially if it's your first time doing it, you really want to take care as to everything you do. Double check everything before you commence pouring the bedding in, because once you start pouring the bedding in, there's no going back from there. So you want to make sure that you've got all the bases covered. Okay, I'll do a final check over again. Now you'll notice in the corner here where I'm squeezing these, the tape wants to lift a bit there. You know, if you're not going to be painting your stock, you might want to try and get some aluminium tape and use that to hold those corners down a little better. I'm not overly worried about it if I get a little bit of leaching over in there, because once I file all this out, this stock will end up getting a Krylon camo paint job from top to bottom. So we're not overly worried about if we get a few scratches, you know, on the top. It's not going to matter too much because I'm going to be painting it. So anyway, guys, I'll just we'll put this down now, and we'll start mixing up some compound, and we'll get ready to bed this. Now, the idea with this, a lot of people like to, you know, to make up a support underneath and use a bolt and bolt through. You know, I like to do it this way. It's just so much easier. All you need is just a couple of bits of old bicycle tube. They're going to act as your like a tie, a bungee, and you know, you're going to use those to hold your action in, and they'll give you quite enough support for when you're going to go to hold the action down into place in the stock. But we'll get to that in a sec. Okay, the other thing you're going to want to make sure that you've got on hand is your rag, a bit of methylated spirits again, and some cotton buds, and you'll see why in a minute as I start to put this in in the bottom here, you'll notice we'll start to get some compound and whatnot leach through. I'm just going to set a couple of old targets in the bottom of my box for the compound to leach out onto. Because we are going to get quite a bit of mess here in a minute. This is probably the messiest job of the lot. The stabilising isn't too bad, but this is probably the messiest part of the whole job right here. So we'll have your rag on hand. And our cotton wool buds. And I'll just crack open the metho, pour a little bit into the cap, have that ready to go, so we can start to do the cleanup as we push it in. Just put this out the road somewhere. Got my dog underneath my my bench who's decided she wants to watch me work today, so I want to save her knocking stuff over. So anyway, okay, now get it up. Here we got the compound. I'll show you the compound once I pop the lid off. It's as you'll notice, it's a very lot thicker than the stabilizer compound. That's it there without the hardener mixed in. It's almost like a really strong steel putty. It's you know, a lot of metal flake and whatnot in it. But, anyway, so same thing again as the stabilizer, guys. You want to add all the hardener. You know, there's enough in this here in both of these containers to fully do the job at hand that you're about to do. So you know, you could probably try and save a little bit if you like, but you're pretty much going to be using all of this stuff anyway. So if I can ever get the top off this one, here we go. So you're going to pour all your compound in, your hardener into your compound. Make sure that's all in there. Now, this is going to need a really good thorough stirring. Okay, as you'll see, it's quite thick, so you just want to fold it in. Get that metal separating from the resin. You'll notice as you're mixing into this, you'll get a few air bubbles in this stuff as well, but don't worry about it too much. Now we'll just swing the camera around to the job. Don't mind the mess. Like I said, you do have a fair bit of mess, but you know, the cleanup's not too bad once it's all said and done. Yep, I lost the camera there altogether. Okay. Alright. So we'll just keep mixing this up. The main thing is we want to just leach that down into that recoil recess and let it really get into there. especially around that tang area. You want to make sure you get plenty around in there. Make sure that you fill up that area. Like I said, we will be using all of this. And as you'll see in a minute, we will get a fair amount of bleed out once we start to now once I start to put this in here, guys, I'm going to leave it settle out a little bit first, and just let it settle out a little bit in there, fill all those voids before we actually push the action down into the stock. Add that in. Okay. Righto, that's that part of the procedure done. Now we're just going to let that sit for a little bit, and we might actually just get a little bit of tape and just to make it easier, we'll get a little bit of tape here. And just underneath here we'll put that bit of tape, and that'll act like a bit of a wing. When I get a bit of overflow, I'll be able to just peel that off. That'll save a lot of cleanup. Still going to be a little bit of cleanup involved when we do this. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. Already got a little bit leaching out there at the side already from there. Okay, so we'll do the same thing there, around there as well, just to make it easier, just to peel that off when we actually go to put that through. Now I've done all the sides here, as you might notice, with electrical tape, and that's just so that when we go to sand it down, I've got a bit of thickness there to go through. I'll actually hit the electrical tape when I go to sand it down and peel off the top. Now that'll make sure that I get a nice even line and nice finish there, right to the very edge of the rifle stock. So which is what we're after. Okay. I'm actually going to put a little bit of tape down through the barrel channel here as well, just to catch any that might come over at the front of that dam. So we're just going to put a little bit of tape there. That'll catch any decides to want to come out of that dam. Just makes it a bit easier for the cleanup later on. Okay, here's the important bit. Now, when you're also, I forgot to mention before, when you do this, you want to turn around and get some electrical tape, and you want electrical tape the front part of your recoil lug, the sides of your recoil lug, and the top of your recoil lug. This will allow a little bit of room for movement for when you go to take your action in and out of the stock. Okay, guys, here we goes. Wish me luck. Now we're going to You see as the straws act as guides to guide you down into that mortise as you go through. They will help you line your stock up exactly where you're supposed to be. Now, this will take a little bit of force to get this to sit in. Okay. Now, you want to leave a reasonable amount of pressure at the back here. Like I said, it is quite messy. Now you just want to take your spoon or knife or whatever it is you may be using, and just clean up some of that excess around the tang. You know, just take some of that and get rid of it. We want to leave some behind, so that if we get any suckbacks in the drying process, that you know, it'll be fine. So we want to leave a bit of a bead. Now what I'll do there now is I'll just pull that bit of a wing off there that I put on there before to get the most of it. And then the same again on the other side. Pull that bit of a wing off that I put on there to catch most of that surplus that's coming off it. As you can see, we had quite a fair bit leach out at the side. Now, still with plenty of weight on the rear of the action, you want to get that in with your rag and just carefully take down some excess off the side of that action. Now you want to be sure that you don't leave any high points, because if you leave too much of a high point, you'll actually trap your action in your stock. So that'll clean up there for now. Switch over to the other side. I don't know how well you can see me here. Just try and swing this around a little bit so you can see. Okay, we got the other side of the stock there. And the same thing, you want to just keep a little bit of weight there, and just in effect just clean that bit of excess that you have. Now, at this point, the main thing you want to do is to make sure that you have no trap points. Okay, you want to make sure that you have no trap points around the ejection port area. So, you know, with keeping a bit of weight there, you just come along, take your Q-tip, or cotton wool bud as we call them here in Australia, and just go along. Just leave a little bit of a bead there on the on the side. Just a bit of a bead. You don't want to clean that back to where there's no compound. You know, there's no compound bead left behind. You want to leave a little bit of a bead. Now you'll notice too, you want to make sure that you don't let the compound leach over. See, at the moment, around the tang area here, we have a trap point. We want to make sure to get rid of any trap points around the, especially around the tang area. and around this area here, because in here we have a real small section in there that you know, we want to make sure there's no trap points in there. We don't want to break it out. That was the small piece that I was showing earlier, that if you get a trap point there, it when you go to break your action out of the stock, you'll actually break that section out of your bedding altogether, and you don't want that. You want to make sure the ejection port is nice and clean and free. That leaches over there. That's a trap point there as well. So you want to make sure you got no trap points there. Just clean that little bit of a, like I say, just leave that little bit of a bead. Now that we've got it at that point, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to take our bicycle inner tube, okay, and we're going to keep that there, and then we're just going to pull it up around tight. Okay, now this is more than enough pressure on your action to hold it in place for you while your bedding sets. So we'll put that front one in. Okay. Now the front one. Front one. Okay, we want to pull that nice and tight. Now, because we've got some pretty warm weather over here in Australia at the moment, I'd normally put you know, some post heat to it and then come back and trim these areas, but because it's so warm at the moment, I'm just going to let it to dry on its own naturally. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a clean up here, especially around this ejection port area. Around the tang. And then later on, guys, we're going to come back through, and the main thing is you don't want to let it come over center. The compound come too far over center. If you let it come too far over center, you'll end up trapping your action into place. So just give you a quick look now that that's all done. Then I'll sit that in the case, and we'll put that aside for a couple of days to. Well, actually, we'll put it aside for a little while. I won't show the process of trimming it off. It's basically quite simple. You know, just get a you want to get yourself a little a gas cooker and a knife, just squared off edge, and just go along to these points around the rear of the tang, if that'll ever these points around the rear of the tang, just where that bit of a bead's coming through, and you want to just take them down so that they're not sort of sitting over that past that halfway point. And that'll ensure that when you break your action out of the stock, that you won't break away part of your bedding trying to do that, and also that you know, you will not get your action trapped into your stock. So all right, guys, I'll come back when it's time to take this thing out of the break this thing out of the stock, and I'll do a video on that one as well. Alright guys, as always, happy and safe hunting, and take care.